Imagine walking into a room knowing that before you speak, half of the people have already decided whether they will agree with you. Some will cheer, some will criticize, some won't even wait to hear what you have to say. Most people would become quieter, careful, maybe even invisible. But some people choose a different path. They speak anyway, even when it costs them. For years, Kangana Ranaut has been one of the most talked about names in Indian cinema, not just because of her performances, but she has rarely been afraid to say what she believes. Whether people agreed or disagreed, the conversations never stopped. But maybe that's not the most interesting part of her story. Maybe the real question is this: what does it cost to stop trying to be liked? And perhaps the answer has very little to do with fame. You know the headlines. Now let's find the last piece. Last time, Sushmita reminded us that there is no perfect timeline. Today's story begins somewhere else because Kangana's challenge was never trying to fit in, it was deciding she didn't want to. Can I ask you something? Have you ever felt like everyone around you expected you to become someone else? To think differently, to speak differently, to dream differently. Sometimes the hardest thing isn't chasing your dream, it's refusing to abandon it just to make other people comfortable. Long before the awards, long before the headlines, long before millions knew her name, Kangana left home to pursue a dream that had no guarantees. No influential family, no clear roadmap, just belief. Imagine being young, walking into an industry where almost nobody knows you, trying to prove that you belong without anyone holding the door open. Her early performances made people notice not because she looked like everyone else, but because she brought something different: intensity, vulnerability, a willingness to take difficult roles. Success didn't arrive overnight, it arrived one opportunity at a time, one performance at a time, one risk at a time. Think about your own life. How many dreams disappear not because they are impossible, but because people stop believing too early? Sometimes the first person who has to believe in you is you. But as Kangana's career grew, so did someone else. Her voice, and once she chose to speak openly, everything changed. Success changes people, or at least that's what we often believe. Maybe success doesn't change us, maybe it simply gives us a microphone. As Kangana's career reached new heights, something else began to grow: her willingness to speak openly about the film industry, about power, about opportunities, about the things she believed needed to be discussed. Some people admired her honesty, others strongly disagreed, and soon the conversations were no longer just about her films. They were about her opinions. Think about that. When people start remembering what you said more than what you created, life becomes very different. Here is something I have often wondered: is it possible to always speak your mind and still expect everyone to agree? Probably not. The moment you choose to be outspoken, you also choose to be misunderstood. Sometimes people will hear only one sentence, not the years that came before it. That's true. Not just for celebrities, it's true for all of us. Maybe you have experienced it too. One conversation, one mistake, one opinion, and suddenly people believe they know who you are. But human beings are always more complicated than a headline. There are moments in every person's lives when they face a difficult choice. Stay silent to avoid criticism, or speak and accept that not everyone will stay beside you. Neither choice is easy, both come with a price. Throughout her journey, Kangana continued to express what she believed. Sometimes those opinions started important conversations, sometimes they sparked intense criticism, and sometimes both happened at the same time. What's fascinating isn't whether everyone agreed, because they didn't. What's fascinating is that she continued to be herself even when she knew it wouldn't be popular. Think about your own life. How many times have you stayed quiet simply because you are afraid of being judged? How many opportunities did you lose trying to be liked by everyone? Maybe the lesson isn't what we should always speak or always stay silent. Maybe the lesson is understanding that every choice has a cost. If these stories help you think beyond the headlines, then you're exactly where this channel was meant to be. Every week we explore not just famous lives but the questions they leave behind. Maybe courage isn't about never being criticized. Maybe courage is accepting that criticism will always exist. But after all the success, the debates, and the headlines, one question still remains. When the noise finally fades, who are you when you are left alone with yourself? There comes a moment in every life when you stop asking, "What do people think of me?" and start asking, "What do I think of myself?" Maybe that's where freedom begins. For years, Kangana has remained one of the most discussed names in Indian entertainment, sometimes because of her films, sometimes because of what she says, sometimes because people simply disagree with her. But here is something worth remembering: disagreement isn't the same as failure, nor is popularity the same as truth. Every person lives with choices. Some choose to avoid conflict, some choose to challenge it. Neither path comes without consequences. Kangana's journey reminds us that having conviction often means accepting criticism, and whether someone agrees or disagrees with those convictions is a decision only they can make. Maybe that's the point. You don't have to agree with someone else's choices to understand the courage it can take to make them. So, who is Kangana Ranaut? An award winning actress? Certainly. A fearless voice? Many would say yes. A controversial public figure? Some would describe her that way. But perhaps those labels still don't tell the whole story. Maybe her story is about something far more universal: the struggle between being accepted and being authentic, because life eventually asks us all the same question: would you rather be loved for pretending to be someone else? or criticized for being yourself. There isn't one perfect answer, but there is one honest one. The people who leave the strongest mark on history rarely spend their lives trying to please everyone. Think about your own life. How many opinions have stopped you from chasing something you truly wanted? How many times have you stayed quiet just to avoid being misunderstood? Maybe the lesson isn't to speak louder. Maybe the lesson is to know why you are speaking in the first place. If this story made you think about the choices you have been afraid to make, then perhaps Kangana's journey has already given you something valuable. And if stories like these help you see life a little differently, I would love for you to stay with us. Because every week we are searching for one more piece of the human story. Jennifer reminded us that one chapter never defines your future. Shahrukh believed before the world did. Aishwarya showed us that perfection isn't something we owe anyone. Honey Singh found his way back to himself. Sushmita chose her own timeline. And today, Kangana leaves us with one final thought. You don't have to be everyone's favorite to remain true to yourself. Our next story is about a young woman who entered one of the toughest industries in the country. People questioned her talent, people doubted her potential, some even believed she would never be taken seriously. But here is the thing, growth doesn't ask for permission. Year after year, choice after choice, she let her work speak louder than the criticism. Because maybe success isn't about never being judged. Maybe it's about never stopping your journey to become better. Every headline hides a question, every journey leaves behind a lesson, and sometimes the story that changes your life isn't the one about someone famous. It's the one that helps you understand your own. Until next time, keep looking for the last piece.